Hello.
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 Are you both in the same meeting room?
Nope, two different meeting rooms.
Similar ones though.
And I think there's reverb enough in one.
I think I have the coolest picture. Is it basically the same?
I don't know. Mine is of like a lake and a tree.
Okay. Someone say something.
Mine's
No.
something.
Pretty good. Yep, and I can hear myself on YouTube, which I was wondering where the echo was coming from.
Perfect.
Excellent. I got a nice message from the bot saying we may be recorded and we're live streaming on YouTube, so all good. Everybody else knows now as well. So welcome everyone to another episode of UmbraCollab. We have the Nikolais, also known as V1 and V2, with us today. V1, hello. Good enough. And V2, say hello.
Hello.
That's just the order in which they joined the company. That's what their version is. It's not because one is better than the other. Although,
Maybe.
do you have more features, V2?
No. Less features, I think.
Yeah. Cool. We're here to talk about Playwright today and have a play with Playwright even. Which one of you has something to show and share?
Either of us, I think.
I'm just waiting for someone to take it away.
I explicitly told him not to prepare anything, so we haven't.
All right, perfect. Then you can tell us how to get started first, and someone share a screen.
I think V2, you are the master of that. So
Sure. Let's just do the entire screen. So, you can see yourself.
Please give us a second to join you.
Let me find there's a file readme. Good work. Seems like it.
Ooh, readme. Perfect.
Just do it like this, so it's nice and snazzy. So, is everyone in? Hope so. So yeah.
Maybe explain for 1 second what Playwright is. I have no idea.
Yes. For those who don't know, Playwright is basically an acceptance test automation test suite. So it doesn't have to be acceptance test, but that's mostly what it's used for. That's the use case of Playwright. And it's just a test automation suite. So you can find elements in your homepage and you can click on them, you can insert if they're there, you can navigate around the page, everything you'd love for an acceptance test.
fancy browser automation tool.
Yes, basically. A very fancy, I'd say. And we'll get into that later, what you can do with it. But to get started with Playwright, let's say you want to create a test or something. We have an acceptance test project here in UmbraCo. It's under the test folder and the UmbraCo test acceptance test project. There's a fine README right here that takes you through what's the requirements, to have an active install running, and then how to get started. So yeah, let's try that out. Let's delete this environment file. Just really seems like I'm new to this. So you'd come in this folder, you'd open up a terminal. You could also do that in Writer or whatever terminal you want to use, PowerShell. And then let's follow the README. And then it says, make sure you run npm CI and npx Playwright. installed. So let's do that in PMCI first. And then you'll get prompted by the script to kind of input your email here. So
This is so we can send you spam, right?
yes, of course. And
This
then
is
my
the
super secret
login.
password.
This is the login for your
For the
UmbraCo
back office
instance
user.
that you're going to be running.
For the admin back office user.
Yep.
And I don't have a different URL, so I just left it there. And then what that does is generate this environment file I just deleted. Come on, where is it? Where is it? Should be. Why it is? Yeah, there it is. Just my writer. That's slow. Screen sharing, and then all this contains again is my super secret password. Nobody knows. And then the back office user email, and then the URL of the site. And of course, npx. Right. So now I have it. This will install some browsers if you haven't have it installed. I already have, so it doesn't run anything. And then we could theoretically run our tests with npm run test, npm run UI. So that's no fun in it. I want to make a test, hopefully.
But you already have, so you're running an UmbraCo instance right now, right? Okay.
Exactly. Just to show it actually does something. So it clicks around and all this tests. Again. But yeah, you could run them, and that I do sometimes if I want to run them locally and stuff. But it's way more funny to actually create a test, hopefully.
Yep.
So should we try that? Should we try creating a test? Do we dare?
Yes.
Yes, but what
do we test?
Create?
That's the
yes,
problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's always the question.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you've already covered.
I mean, I guess we can take some properties and try and make a test with that.
Yeah, sure.
Just think there's plenty of them, so.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I mean, anything that doesn't require a build, I think should be fine, right?
I have a nice suggestion for one. How about health checks? Like you go to the health check dashboard and I don't know, you push a button and the groups will run or something. I don't know.
Why not?
That sounds like a great idea.
So let's say we want to go to the health checks. Then maybe some security. And then run a check. And then
That's a difficult one because it updates the interface here. Config.
Yeah, config. Still run a check. I mean, the UI can update. That's fine. I'm just wondering, what should we just do configuration?
Yeah, just
sure.
Yeah, why not? Okay.
Yeah, the funny is that by default the checks should in air quotes fail.
Which is weird.
Yeah. Which is a little funny, yeah. It's a little weird test, but let's just do it just to show that you can. So we have actually a little script to create what you need for the baseline. We have create test. It's called. We can look at that in the package. A little create test script. We can even give it a name. Let's say. And that will appear out here. And the trick is usually to drag it into its own folder. This is because I was testing before, so let me just delete this file. So we can just you can run the test specifically in this folder, because usually you run all the tests. But if you want to run just one test, put it in its own folder.
Okay.
And run just this test. So we get the bare bones test file.
Yeah, that's what that script did, right? It just added this to the test.
Just created this file, and it's just a bare bones test file with what you need.
Yeah.
So we need.
don't have to tell people to go and copy an old test.
Yes, exactly. And that's what we've been doing for a long time. So it's actually also nice for us to have this.
Speed up development. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Nice.
So basically what it is the test.describe is just your whole test file. So you'll need all your tests in this describe. And we have a before each. So this logic will run before each test. It's aptly named, luckily for us. And all it does is log us into the back office. So if we were just testing the front end, we didn't have to do this, but usually for us at least, we want to test stuff out in the back office, right? So we have to log in first. Yeah. So let's try. I think first we should probably go to the settings section. We can do that via the UmbraCollab UI. The section. We have a constants helper. Oh, we probably have to import that, right?
I think it was shown right before when you just were like if you write con, wasn't it there?
No, it was constant source.
Yeah, it was right up.
Oh, there. It's just
up.
Oh, there.
Yeah, there you go.
Constant.
It's just hiding. Yeah.
I want to go to the my ID does this for me, but usually you might have to put it in the import as well, so you can use it.
And this is just a helper method that'll go in and click the button, the section button, the settings button for us.
Okay.
You might want to pause it before you run the tests.
Yeah, sorry. You're right about that. So all I'm typing in here in this terminal is the npx playwright test command, and because I just want to run one test, I have to do this. So I have to specify I want to test, and then what folder it's in.
Yeah, okay.
And you might wonder why, well, we're in the acceptance test project, right? Why didn't I have to specify the tests folder? Why do I only have to specify the default config? And it's actually defined in this playwright.config.ts file, which has all our playwright config. I didn't show this before. Nice. Here we actually specified that our test directory root is tests. So this is why I don't have to specify it when I do npx run tests. So I only have to specify, so it knows we start in the test folder, right? And then I want to go to the default config, and then I want to go to tests. Then it'll run all the tests in here. Do note that the file also is named spec.ts. That is on purpose. If we remove this spec, for example, it wouldn't detect the test. So it detects only spec.ts. So it has to be named that. That's very important. So yeah, pause the test before we run it properly so we can see. This step-by-step in Playwright, which is really nice for...
Remember to run the header, yeah.
So here we run the header flag just so we can see what's actually going on in the browser. Usually, by default, we don't open the browser at all. So only header is just for human purposes, right? So we can see what's going on. The computer doesn't really need that. So I paused the test, right? So we log in. That's great. And then let's hope that our command works. So we go to the section setting. We have this step-by-step. Boom. It finds the settings section, and then we click it. And boom, voila, we're already in the settings test. Or settings section, sorry. So let's actually look at what this health check. So usually we have to find elements. You have to go in, you have to do a little bit of HTML digging.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what's a good selector for this button? And there is a data element already.
Data element, yeah.
So we can basically just grab this, all of this. And you won't always find data elements, but we really try to put them in everywhere we need them.
Well, that could be a good first pull request. It's like, oh, I need a data element here to be able to select it.
Exactly, and I just did that for example, for macros. Creating macros.
Oh, yeah.
So that was nice.
Nice.
But yeah, we really need those data elements. again to find the proper sections and buttons. So and in Playwright we use, if you haven't noticed, we use await a lot because the tests are async, so we have to await. If we don't await, you'll get some weird errors because again, then we don't wait for this to be done. So you might try to find an element, but we haven't gone to the section yet and stuff. So remember, use await.
And then you can use locator to find the elements on the page. And this is also it's both async, but it's also lazily executed as well. So that's something just to keep in mind.
That's a problem. You can explain.
Yeah, we had a weird bug at one point where we were trying to figure out how many elements there was on a page using a locator. But when we called .count, it was just always 0. And it was like, why is that? But turns out there was a bug that .count did not execute the lazy executor. So it just didn't even try to find elements. So if you...
That was a bug in Playwright, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, that again.
And did you then send them a pull request to fix it?
Put on a spot like that? No, I didn't.
It's Oktoberfest. Everything is a pull request this year.
Yeah.
We opened an issue for it. I don't remember.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
So let's step through again. Then, hopefully...
Nice. Yeah.
Click on all kinds of stuff. Then it looks like it finds the health check element, and it looks like it's clicking on it. Yes. Perfect.
Nice.
And this is why the page.pause is really nice, because then we can again go into the tools, and then why did it pop out like that? Pop out on me. Here we would probably need.
Yeah.
It looks like there's a data element. Oh. Using the trackpad on the computer is a challenge in of itself.
Yeah, but I guess you can do the first button there or something as a selector.
Yes, we could do the first button, but we had a talk about it at Code Concept. Did you see it?
Sorry. No, sorry. So I'm just repeating all the dumb mistakes. Good.
No.
But there's a reason we don't want to do first, because what if we ever swap this, right?
Yeah.
And you wouldn't go into configuration, you would go into, let's say, data integrity and stuff. We really want to avoid, and that's why we really want to use the data elements, because presumably all these could switch as well.
Yeah.
So we would always find the actual health check, even if it's the first, second, whatever, just to make the test more robust, right?
Yeah, we learned that the hard way.
Yeah, we really learned that the hard way. We've had so many tests failing. There is a class. There's an health check group, but.
So I have a question whilst you're trying to figure out the selector. I know in Cypress there used to be some tool or helper-ish that would help you try and find what that selector might be. Is there anything similar in Playwright, or are you left to your own devices?
No, there's actually it's even smarter in Playwright. There is a recording function which does the same thing. You can see it right down, except it records all of your clicks. So in theory, you could write an entire test using that, and it would be super fast. But it's like worth being kind of cautious using it, because sometimes it picks some very, very specific selectors that'll break the next time someone touches just about anything.
Yep.
But I still think it's a great way to get inspirations for your selector.
Yeah. Well, this is actually a really great
selector.
Yeah,
so for that, I was going to say, for that one, it's found a button that has text inside it, that has text of configuration.
Exactly. So that is not a bad selector at all.
I mean, that's perfectly reasonable.
Until we change the dictionary label and call it settings.
That's true.
See it sometimes, and it's
nice.
It's not the voice selector. Let's do that. So let's record that. Do it like this, right? And then should be down here.
You just copy paste it from Web 13.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
So this recorder doesn't actually just save it back into the test.
No, it doesn't know where the test is. Does it?
Oh, it just generates a new test for you. That's what the recorder.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
It might actually make like a lot of sense if you're testing your own site, I guess.
Yeah.
Then you're also a bit more, like, of course we're in control, but it's easier if it's your own site. Then you probably know when the HTML changes.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a difficult. You have to escape some stuff there. Oh no, this actually works. Yeah, button has sticks. Okay.
Yeah.
See, the only thing I like about JavaScript is that you can just use any
code.
coding you want.
Yeah. But just to be fair, Python has the same feature, and it's amazing.
I mean, have you seen the new .NET escape where you can do like 5 codes at the start of the line? So you can
Yeah, and it'll escape everything.
Yeah, 5 codes.
Okay.
You don't need I think you need 3, but you can make it.
You need up to how many codes you want to nest, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Which is really funny.
Yeah.
Hey, and we got in there. It's nice. So should we try to find the tech group button? Try that.
It has a label key. It would be nice.
That would be really nice. Not.
So
with a test like this, would you be checking that the configuration health check contains 2 checks? Like what really realistically would we checking if we was to write test? Apart from clicking buttons, what would we?
We could assert that, for example, that we had set this notification email setting or occurs a set to throw or
makes sense.
That it actually fails would be a good idea to test, because it would be bad if it suddenly just started passing when it should fail.
Exactly. So we could have let's do a test where the text is here, and maybe even the little cross.
Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, there is a label key.
Yeah, so sometimes if you find a button, it's worth scrolling up a bit because it's usually wrapped in an button, which then has the label key.
Yeah.
And label keys are nice because those we can insert on. We don't have to use the recorder. We don't have to use just the button and find the first one. And
yeah.
So we can do, and we have also in our UI helper we have a button by label key. Yes, we do.
If you have been looking at Playwright or Cypress, you notice that here at Playwright we've split it out. So we have a Umbraco UI helper and we have an Umbraco API helper. And the UI helper has everything that you need for the interacting with the UI, like finding buttons, going to section, that sort of stuff. But the API helpers have all of the API stuff, so creating content for the APIs and document types and stuff like that. Just makes it a little bit easier to find.
So I assume that Umbraco UI get button by label key under the hood. Really, it's just doing a page locator with some.
Yes, exactly.
Instead of data element, it's a label key.
And it's passing in that value. Yep, nice.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that.
Just a nice helper. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just because we're lazy. Don't write this thing over and over again.
Yeah.
And
do you have one for data element then?
No.
No, but it would actually be a good idea to make a helper method for get element by data element.
Create an issue on your issue tracker. So there's an issue tracker for these helpers, right?
Yes. So
I can't remember.
I have it open right here.
Oh, thank you. It's like we rehearsed this, but we didn't.
We have the UmbraCollab Playwright the test helpers repository, and here you can file your issues. We already have a few open by a guy I think I know, Nikolai. So you can post your issues here, and that would be a great place to put it.
Yep.
And you see me using Umbraco that click element here, and it's basically to save the hassle of if we did this like get button by label key, we want to click it. We can't just click it because this is async. So we have to wrap it like this. We have to do await and then wrap it and then click. So it's very, very ugly, right?
Okay, yeah, I was curious why, you couldn't just do .click like you did on all the other lines,
Yes.
but yeah, makes sense.
Exactly. So that's why I do the click. That's why we have the click element, just to make it prettier. So you can, so it's actually human readable what's going on. When you start with nested awaits, it's just like, what the hell is going on here?
Yes. Yeah, but it essentially when you use Umbraco UI to, get elements, then you can use the click element to do it. And maybe it can be fixed. I'm not a JavaScript expert, but I believe it's because the get button by label key returns a promise. So
Yes, exactly.
and that's all that the click element does. It just awaits that promise and then clicks it.
Mm-hmm.
That was not great. Just I should run.
So if I was a package author, could I use all of this snazzy Playwright stuff to test my own package?
Yeah,
Yes, you could.
of course, you can use it for all of the, back office navigation and stuff like that, and also the API if you need to create document types and whatever. It's all freely available to use.
Nice.
So
I actually considered making a video because I have my own package, just to like see how you would go about creating a test for your own package with the UI helper library or Playwright helper libraries. That's also very exciting, right? That you can actually use it for yourself and not only for us. So let's see if I can check the button and we press it. Nice. So far so good. So now we have to assert some stuff. We got to the state we want to assert, right? So should probably assert that we can find some of this. And maybe even that one. This will probably be the hardest one of the two.
Some SVG.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Those chat as icon. Might be
There's
okay.
a health
Oh, there you go.
status icon.
It says there's a span that's wrapping it. Icon inner or icon - delete. It's a down one.
Oh yeah, one more.
Is the class name.
it's also in the span above it. It has an icon property that says icon delete.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Now we get back to this is the second one in the.
Exactly, and that is what we don't want, but I don't think we
Kind of avoided the.
We want to ensure that both of them are as the same, so we could just
for each.
Yeah, we can get it. Yeah, get all of them and just loop through them and assert that they're all.
Yes.
I think that would actually be a fine way to assert it. I mean, we could check the text, but I guess we would like to be able to change the text without the test failing. I don't know, maybe.
I'm just wondering. I'd really like to get just the icons and then assert they all have the icon delete.
Yeah, can you select the by that exactly? Umbraco health check status icon. Remember, does it need a dot because it's a class?
Right. About that. And then how is it? I can never remember. Can we do a console.log?
Yeah,
It'll
log it in the Playwright console.
The ports then. So we just want to see what comes back when we try to get the icons.
Yeah, it'll be a locator because it hasn't it hasn't actually run yet because it's lazy.
Yeah. I'm wondering what we want to do with this locator. We wanna.
So could you just assert that there's 2 on the page for 1, so that you know in this section that there's always only going to be 2 health checks until we start adding more, or?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, so when you want to search something, you use the expect keyword, and then you give it the the locator, and then you can chain what you want to assert.
To have count.
Yeah.
I think that's.
So
Yeah, we can try that.
So that would at least check that you've got 2 icons. Then obviously you would then need to, I assume, loop over them with a 4 or 4 each. And then check that it's the class of icon delete or whatever it is, because this is just checking that there's DOM elements for an icon.
Yeah, exactly. I think if you really wanted to, I think you could actually even chain it in the locator. So both select the status icon and what was the other class called? If you look at the
icon, right?
Yeah, the name for the icon, I can't remember what it's called.
Look at it. And that was called the icon delete, I think it was called, right?
Right, icon equals icon delete.
Yeah,
So you should be able to
there's an
use
attribute
that.
on it.
Yeah. Up of it, there, right there.
So you want to do something like presumably this.
And you just need to the icon.
Icon equals.
Yeah.
And missing a quote there.
Yeah, exactly.
Delete quote. Yes.
Yeah, this is one way to change the locators. You can do locator.locator. But if you want to do it in one locator, you can do, the 2, what is called?
Regular CSS.
So you can
less than like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so more specific selector. Yeah.
Yeah, it does the other direction.
Right.
Yeah, it does the it does the exact same thing. It's just a preference. What do you prefer? And
I really like the changeables one.
Yeah, and
more clear.
Exactly, but I think at the moment we don't have any kind of what's called code styles that require you to use either one.
But we really prefer the other one, because then you could presumably, if you had a ton of locators, you could do something like that, so it's much more visible.
And then you can actually do some fun hacky things with that, like we do in our what is called get tree item, where you add dot locators in a loop to go further and further down the tree. It's some pretty messy code. I can say that because I wrote it. It was a fun cycle hack to do that.
Now you have to show it.
Just don't expect me to explain it. I think I've forgotten how it works.
You can see it fails now.
Yeah.
Probably this doesn't work. And then actually we'll retry it. We have logic to retry it as well. So it'll automatically run the retries if it doesn't work. And I think it's fair to say that doesn't work.
So when you're... I thought you console logged what it selected?
No, I think I didn't do that.
You remove it and you post it again.
Okay.
But it's also worth to mention here that if you don't like immediately close the test, it'll actually host like an HTML page that you can enter, and then it'll give you the error message why it failed.
Okay.
Kind of give you a summary of all the tests and stuff like that.
I thought I could show the show trace instead, which is really visible. So if you have a test failing, it'll of course show you in the log. Expect icons have, and it was undefined, so it couldn't find the icon. But let's say maybe had it on pipelines and it was hard to find. You can actually explore show trace. It'll open up a little fancy UI for you, and it says drop Playwright trace to load. And we get the traces in like in the results folder. Where is the results folder? I don't have a results folder this time. Right, because we're hosting it, and probably just do it like this. Just to make sure. And is there anything else? No, and this shouldn't be on first retry, so that's why it should be retain on fail. So we fail. We have changed this actually. I don't know why it's not changed on my branch right now. But yeah, before it was retry only on retries. So if it retried a test and then it failed, then it would show the trace logs. But that's probably not that good. We really want all the trace logs for every test that failed. So now we have a test failing, and now I should get a result for the yes. There it is. Debugging. Now we can drag and drop the trace. And this would be way easier if I had two screens, but I don't.
Oh wow!
But you really get a really snazzy like test. You get all the steps. So here we can see we log in, the tours are open, we close the tours, we go to the settings section. And it's really nice because you also get full HTML, so you can insert all the elements and you can inspect them, and you even get, to show off even more, you even get a console. So if anything shows up, and you get a full network tab, and it's really really snazzy. I mean, I've never seen something like that before.
Oh, that's cool. What happens? So in the previous one, there's a network stuff. There's two network calls, and that's doing get status, of course. Yeah. Okay, that is great.
So in theory, you could assert that it makes certain network calls. So you could assert that it makes those two network calls, and then gets a certain result in that API call, like of failure or whatever.
Usually I reserve the status calls to when you've changed something. So let's say you change a user, you really want to assert that the user is created. You both want to assert that it's in the front end, but maybe also in the database. And there you could use the API calls.
Okay.
So that was just to show you that. So we couldn't find the icons as we see. There's no little snazzy red button where it could find the icons, so it didn't find the icons. So let's close this snazzy trace again. So this didn't work. We know that much. But why didn't it work? It's always good.
I was going to say, how would you normally start debugging this? That you expected that to work?
Expected that fully to work, yes. And then I would just do like I do now, paste a pause, and then I'll go in and dive into the HTML again.
And always, I'll also always just double, make entirely certain that I've actually written it correctly. Sometimes you have just made a typo.
Yep.
Exactly. And then my next step would be to try to find to remove the health check status. Just only assert on the icons, because then we know that this works, right? We know we found 2 here. So presumably there's something wrong with this. So I would go check. Okay, how many icons delete can I find? And if I didn't find anything, I'd know this selector is wrong. That's just how I would go about that. Let's see.
It's still, the whole process is pretty trial and error-ish, I think.
Yeah.
But it was the same with Cypress. I think it's just...
We could even use the record just to see what it says. Text configuration, yeah, that's
Yeah, that's
a bit too specific.
We're talking about.
Yeah, it's very specific.
So that's what we're talking about. When don't always just use the recorder blindly, because you get stuff like this, and that is
So go back to the icon in the DOM. Okay, yeah, I think I know the issue. So did you say that chaining.locator adds a greater than symbol?
No, that's just another way to do it.
Okay, so the problem is it's because it's on the same element. So the CSS,
yeah, that makes sense.
It's not a child element.
Oh, shit. I think we can actually, instead of chaining them, I think you can just have it in the same selector.
Yeah.
If I remember right.
Exactly. Yeah, they should just... yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then it's not even...
It's not even a space. Yeah, it's not even a space. So you could test it in DevTools as well. So you could try and copy and paste that selector and try and do a find, Control F.
Oh.
All the tricks here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know.
No, it didn't highlight it. So take up the space between the square brackets. There you go. There it's highlighted.
I never knew this either.
Really nice. I never knew this either. No.
That's new to me.
There you go.
The more you know.
Yep.
There we learn. So that should work. We just tested it in the browser, so let's hope it works in Playwright as well.
Yep. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. And it did.
Whoop.
Yep.
Whee! Wonderful.
Successfully created a test.
So that's an example of how we put in.
Nice.
Yeah. A little test.
I know that we've got 15 minutes left. Nikolai, did you say you have got a package that is on your machine, maybe, that we can see how... Is there a different approach or anything special that we need to know if I was going to use this against the package?
I don't think I have the package on my machine, sorry.
No worries.
Good excuse.
But no, presumably not. You'd only need to make your own selectors, right? So
Yeah, I'm just wondering...
Package.
How would you set it up to run independently of the UmbraCo source code, I guess?
Yeah. So we actually basically have done that with our own. So we have 2 packages you need, and we have this UmbraCo JSON models builder package. So it's in a completely separate package. So the only thing that's in our repo is the tests themselves, but all the helpers is in a separate package. So you can just reference this UmbraCo/Playwright test helpers package, and if you need builders, of course, the JSON models builder, and then you could use it completely separate of the.
Maybe just show a content test so you can see how the builders are used, or some test where you're building something. And these are actually in their separate package because they're the exact same as we use with Cypress, because it's just pure JavaScript. So I can see the document type builder. Yeah, exactly. Where you can specify with name and stuff, and then it'll fill out defaults for the rest.
So is this creating JSON objects for me? So
yes, exactly.
Exactly.
And so it's us who has taken the painful process and going into the network tab and seeing what is the backend what is the front end sending to the backend and JSON, and then we create builders to reproduce that, so that you don't have to sit and do this manually all the time.
I was going to say, I assume some JSON objects expect some properties to be there. So like creating a document type with a name, I would imagine it's not just setting a JSON object with one property of name. It probably needs to send like some other stuff along with it.
It has aliases and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you don't need to specify a name. We will fill the name out for you. So basically what a builder is basically filling out all the necessary properties for you unless you want to change them. So that's why we have the with name, for example. It's I'm not in the builders. We'll be in the builders package. Let's just take a look at the document type builder. You can see when we call .build, for example, we either use the name you've given or we just use the key.
And then I can see if you don't specify a key, then you're creating a random key or GUID. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it looks a bit funky if you don't specify name and aliases, because all of your document type will just be named by a GUID. But it works pretty well.
Yeah, nice.
So that's basically what the builder does. Just fills out the properties you need, so you don't need to worry about it.
Yeah. So you save quite a lot of work with all of these builders.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And we still need builders, so it's not like this is a complete package and it's just all done, it's all polished. For example, we have no members, if you see. We don't have no members.
Andreas is working on builders for the block list editor and block grid editor as well.
Nice.
So, of course, this is also open for Hacktoberfest, so if anyone wants to create a member builder or something, feel free. We also have a repo for that. It's aptly named JSON models. So we also have the JSON 500 JSON models that build us. This is the package. I guess hopefully the README should take you through how to get it up and running and how to use npm link.
Nice.
V2 has done a great job actually creating documentation for all of this stuff.
So hopefully it should be up and running, and if it isn't, ping me. It should be. We really need it to be. We wanted to make it as easy as possible for people to make tests.
Do you have an issue open or a list of somewhere? So say if I want to contribute, I've got some time.
Just added one for up for grabs.
I was just about to say, do I know which areas or builders that we do need to build that are missing?
We don't have a comprehensive list, unfortunately, because we don't really have an overview of what we need. We know a few things, but there's a lot missing.
Okay. I assume they normally get built when you create in a test.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much how we've developed this all along, is whenever we need something, we build it.
Yeah, okay.
Nice.
So with that assumption, then I assume there's tests missing for members then, if we don't have a member builder.
Yes, there is
a lot of testing thing.
I think we're also missing some for users with user groups and permissions and all that sort of stuff.
We're using stuff for the dictionary as well, and style sheet stuff. We should really have a comprehensive list, but it's a lot to sit down and go through. It's like what we're missing because it's 1,000 tests around there.
And you can go crazy as well, right? If you just talked about users, then you can create a user which has access to this and that and that and that and not that, and then test that they actually don't have access to that last thing.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a million combinations.
Yeah.
Exactly. I know you just mentioned users, but the only thing we can't do with users, because it's so fucking big. we can't delete a user that's been activated.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't do that because I really wanted to do that. I know it's just an example because there's a lot, but it's like
maybe you can't do it in the interface, but maybe you can do it in the API anyway.
I tried deleting the user through the API.
Okay.
Which is really annoying. I know it's for logs and stuff, but we should probably have like a setting like I'm in testing mode. I can delete.
Exactly.
You could even have something like we have with test data software. We could have like a special controller that's only active when it's built in debug mode or something like that. Could be cool.
Yeah. And just to clarify, the reason that this is annoying is that you want to clean up after yourself, because
exactly.
Next time you run the test,
will just be in your UmbraCo install forever unless you clean up. And you don't want to clean up by deleting the database every time.
Well, it's one of those things that if you're making your package, it actually makes a lot of sense to just not necessarily delete the database, but you can take snapshots and roll it back to that. That's a great way to do it. The only reason we can't do this is because in the long term, we want to be able to run our acceptance test suite against an UmbraCo cloud site. So we in that way can make sure that when we update something, we're not breaking something in the cloud.
Yeah.
And there, of course, we can't go directly to the database. We have no control over that. So that's why we don't do it. But if you're testing your package, by all means, I think I saw Matt Bradford is actually doing something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
And it seems super cool, and it's pretty fast because then you don't have to send all these requests to them. And you can use it as well to set it up and stuff like that.
Yeah. So what does he take a snapshot of the database?
Something. It's been a hot minute since I took a look at it.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's something along those lines.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, you can delete it fully or just roll it back. A lot of options.
I can't remember.
Of course, it also has drawbacks, right? Performance drawbacks. It's probably a lot easier to just delete one user through an API than rolling back the
exactly.
database. But theoretically, you could.
Yeah, just by, I mean, it all works, by the way. We've been doing Cypress tests for forever now, and it's all great. But just it feels a little bit wrong to say, okay, well, I'll create something and delete it again. You might still have side effects that you can't foresee. But it's actually usually doesn't. We haven't seen any problems with it.
Oh, it's been surprisingly good. There was some growing pains in the beginnings with flaky tests and stuff, but we're at a point now where I think it's come a long way, and
I know just in the last week we've already caught 2 live bugs in the wild with the acceptance.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, they actually provide a ton of value for us, both in actually catching bugs, but also just peace of mind. It's my favorite thing when I make a new release and you just know the acceptance has passed, so nothing has exploded, which is good.
Super nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, if Warren doesn't have any more questions, let's see.
No, I've got one.
Or
very
anybody
last...
else? Sorry.
Yeah, I've got one last question. If no one else has got one. So we've talked about package developers. How about I'm at an agency and I'm building an UmbraCo site? Would I use Playwright, or does it make sense to use Playwright to test, like, I don't know, the implementation?
I think it absolutely makes sense in a lot of scenarios, because you have to remember with acceptance, you're testing user flows. So it might make a lot of sense to check, okay, can I go, I don't know if it's an e-commerce site, can I add these things to my cart, and can I then check out, and does this whole flow work?
Yeah.
And acceptance tests are super powerful for this. Also just because it's relatively speaking cheap to build this. It doesn't take
especially
that long.
if you know that you're going to do this over and over again. I've spent so much time in my first job as a junior just clicking around doing the same thing over and over again. And what was the thing? What was the testing suite? It used to be a Firefox plugin.
Selenium
came before. Selenium, yeah, that's the one I tried to use, and it just didn't quite work. So
yes, Selenium is also quite hard because there you have to kind of bring your own of everything. It's just a browser automation. That's the nice thing with Playwright and Cypress is that it's this huge suite of tools you need to write these tests.
Yeah, exactly. And it runs headless, and it's wonderful.
It does.
I'm sure Selenium does the same thing these days, but
yeah, you can make it do the same, but it's just a lot more work. And just one fact about Playwright is that you can use XPath in it. So if you're missing the XML cache from UmbraCollab 7, then write some Playwright tests. And you can write your XPath.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yes.
Okay, I think that about wraps it up. Looks fun, and I put that data element helper up for grabs. So if anybody wants to earn some points for Hacktoberfest, it should be an easy one to get started.
Please, if you have any issues with the Playwright test helpers or models, let us know. We'd love to help you and make everything better together.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
See you next week.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.